Okay, project time. So as you can see, we've got the Unistrut installed here on the Boxlink mounting points. I already did the top one, but I'm gonna talk you through doing the bottom one. So this will kind of serve as the tutorial. So step one, we've cut our Unistrut to exactly 49 inches. That's the length I picked, especially with the Pro Power on board. I didn't want to go too far towards the back of the truck. I suppose you could. 49 inches is just what I chose. Hardware-wise, there's a few different pieces that go into it, so I'll just talk you through it. I start with my M6 1 by 75s. M6 is the metric thread that Boxlink uses. Unfortunately, it's not very common, so they have these at Lowe's. They sell them in little baggies of 2. So we're gonna open these up. Here's what it looks like up close. So be sure to get the 75. Now the reason you need such a long one of these is because you've got these weird body lines in your truck bed that force the Unistrut to sit away from the side of the truck bed. Step one is we go down, you need some washers. These are 1/4 by 1 1/4 washers. The reason I like using these is they fit inside the Unistrut, so you could use them for that. So that's how we're gonna use these. But what I do is I just start all 4 so that it's kind of hanging there, and then I go back one by one and put all the other pieces. But that's the cool thing about Unistrut is that there's some room for creativity. Getting the thread started can be tricky. There we go. Okay, that one's good. Now we're gonna come down here and do the same thing. Yeah, this is the moment where if you had a second person, it would be easier. Okay, so now you can see our Unistrut is hanging, and so we can get our other 2 started. Now, obviously, we're just hand tightening right now, and we're not gonna go all the way in because we have a lot more pieces to add. You might be asking yourself, Joe, why are you doing 2 Unistruts, top and bottom? Really, this all started with trying to mount my flagpoles, and I just wanted more mounting points so that I knew my flagpole would be able to stand up to hopefully highway speeds. So there'll be a separate video where we test that. So washer goes inside the Unistrut, and then this comes through. And again, I'm looking at the one I already did as kind of a template for which Unistrut holes I'm using. Kind of a before and after. There's a rubber washer, then a metal washer, and then this little spacer. So that's all we have to add down here. And once those pieces are in, we can tighten. So we know we need rubber washer. I am using, hopefully you can see that. And really, again, this is just to protect the paint on your truck bed from the metal washer rubbing against it. So we've got rubber washer, we've got metal washer. The metal washers are 1/4 by 1 1/4. And again, these are your best friend because they also fit inside the Unistrut. You're definitely gonna find a use for these, so just buy a box of them. And then the last bit, this is the hardest piece because you have to make this. This is square tubing that you can buy at Lowe's. And the key is that you need to cut it to the right length so that it's really just filling that space between the Unistrut and the truck bed. I mean, you could use something else. You could use washers, you could use anything, but I like this just because it might provide a little more structural strength to it. Just for you guys, I'm gonna measure this and just tell you what mine is so that you know kind of what to aim for. 2 1/4 is what I'm getting, almost exactly 2 1/4. The reason you wanna aim for that, if you didn't have this spacer and you just cranked these bolts tight, your Unistrut would be bending up against the bed of your truck, and that's not what you want. So this is kind of just a buffer so that as you're tightening down, you kind of hit a stopping point on all 4 bolts that's going to be uniform. We're going to undo one of the bolts we've already started, and then we've got to thread the bolt through these 3 pieces. We're threading it through. So let's start by putting the bolt where we know it's going to end up, right there. Yeah, that's going to happen a lot. Then we slide this bad boy in like this. Now, if you can hold everything in place, maybe you can get it in one shot. I never have done that successfully. Oh, we're close, maybe? No way. Okay, so we're threading. And now that we've got those pieces in, I'm just gonna hand tighten. This is still loose, so obviously we're gonna circle back and get this nice and tight. But for now, that's what we want. We just kind of want everything resting in place in the proper order, and we'll tighten later. Okay, now we're gonna do the next one. Same thing, one of these, rubber washer, metal washer. Now, I'm just surprised that when you get on YouTube and you search for like Unistrut F150, there weren't a ton of results. So, and I'm certain I'm not the first person to do this, but maybe the first one to take the time to talk through. This is the hard part, guys, is getting everything lined up. Again, if you had a second person, I'm sure it would be easier. Oh, this is it. This is it. If you can search for that, yeah, we got it. It will be frustrating that first time. You're gonna drop bolts. You're gonna think about just canning the whole idea, but I think it's worth it. Get these a little tighter. I'm just getting rid of some of this slack. Now, just to illustrate, so now again, you've got a little before and after. This is what we're gonna end up with the spacers and the rubber washers. This is what you're starting with, is just 2 basic bolts, okay? So this is what you're going for. So you can see right through the square pipe, take your bolt through the washer, through here, and you thread. This took a lot longer on my first one, guys, this top one I did. So don't be discouraged if you are struggling on the first few. Just gonna get rid of some of the slack on him. Okay, that's starting to get flush. Now what I'm noticing is that on this bottom rail, there are no points where we're gonna rub with these spacers, and that's good. On the top one, you run into these contours, and so I got some thick rubber washers and put them there and then tightened it down so that you don't have any scratching. 4 down, 1 to go. You got your spacer, your rubber washer, your metal washer, and we're gonna try to slide it right in here. We're gonna slide this in to the spot. We'll line it up. Did I get it? I think I got it. Oh, I got it. I promise that took so much longer yesterday. Okay, gonna tighten it. So this is kind of your first peek at what the final product looks like. I still have to tighten this bottom rail, but you can see you got your spacers, you got 2 Unistruts here, so very flexible mounting options for you. So let's just finish these up. How do I want to arrange my spacer? I guess I would just suggest make them all match, but I put mine in this diamond orientation with one of the corners facing up, and I wanted to give it some extra structural integrity, so that's why I oriented them that way. So that's what you want to be aware of as you start to tighten these down, because there will come a moment when there's a lot of contact that you can't move the spacers anymore. So my advice is get them nice and centered on those washers and get them in the orientation you want. You don't want them saggy. You want your bolt to be floating inside of that spacer. You don't want any contact there. Okay, that's rock solid. That's not moving. So that feels, oh, that's awesome. Okay, one last quarter turn. Be careful. If you over tighten these and strip the threads that are inside your Boxlink, I'd imagine that's not a cheap fix, replacement, repair. Find that sweet spot where you feel secure, but that you're not over tightening. But I think the rubber washers provide a nice buffer. They'll compress a little bit before you strip your Boxlink. Can confirm now there's no rubbing on this bottom Boxlink Unistrut. Even down here, we've got a gap, so no need for a washer. So this guy's ready to go. They look nice and parallel, obviously, because we're using the Boxlink system. Exactly 2 1/4. Seem to work really nice. Yeah, 2 1/4. Oh, I can read off what it is. This is aluminum square tube 3/4 inch. I bought a 3-foot section. Unfortunately, it's just shy of what you'll need to do the 4 Unistrut rails. It's been a long journey, but you can see we have space over here, so no worry about rubbing. I wish they made rubber end caps for these Unistrut pieces, but no luck. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mounting points that are all going to help keep this flag mount in place. Let's take a step back and admire our work.